throw it up. Start twerking like Miley. Oh yeah, twerking like Miley. Don't pop it like Miley.
Hey guys, it's WhatskillingChloe, and I'm very sorry for not updating. We'll talk about that later though. We'll just see what goes on right now. This is probably going up later than I'm actually recording it, but it's okay. Here we go. Chapter 11. I felt someone's arms around me, gently holding me and keeping me from falling. I felt steady breathing on my forehead, and I finally opened my eyes. I jolted when I saw Jeff's face right in front of me. Since when did I turn around? Holy crap, this is awkward. But apparently, I was just so tired that I didn't give a damn, so I went back to sleep, slightly cuddling myself into Jeff. I was cold. It was not my fault his hoodie is just so damn fluffy. It really is. Actually, I want to wear it, but I'm sure he wouldn't let me. After a couple moments, I opened my eyes as a realization hit me. It's Monday today. What time is it? I sit up and grab my phone from the coffee table. I press the button on it to see it's 9:45. Damn it. The school won't let me in past 10:20. I have to go now. I uncover myself and leap out, only to have my foot snagged on the blanket, making me trip on the floor. I moaned and pushed myself up. I looked up at Jeff and see he's still sleeping, considering my little tumble. I roll my eyes and get up, carefully not to wake him up. I was about to get up the stairs when I feel my nose slightly tickle. Then, a lot. I sneeze and sniffle, even though I usually sneeze like a kitten. Addie and Jonna seem to think I do. This time, it was loud, but Jeff didn't wake up. I smiled and I sighed in relief. Suddenly, Jeff bolts up and shouts, "Don't rape me!" Then leaps over the couch, only to slip and face plant. I just stared at him and shook my head. Seriously, he wakes up from a sigh? What the hell? He got up and panted. He waved at me and said, "Good morning." "Yeah," I said. "Good morning. That was quite a show there. Yeah." He scoffs and shrugs awkwardly. "Well, always gotta get a good start to the day," he chimed. "By yelling 'Don't rape me'?" I asked. He stared at me, then said, "Always gotta get ready for jail." Then he lowers his voice and says, "Never know when you might drop the soap." "Okay," I exclaimed. "That's nice to know, Jeff. Really, it is, but I have to get ready for school." I turn around and go up, and I hear him say, "They still have that?" I turn and I give him a look. "Yes, Jeff, they do." I run up before anything else went wrong. I grab some clothes from my room and put them on. I run into the bathroom and get my hair straightener ready. I run downstairs and grab a little snack, and I rush through all my morning routine. Once I finally fixed my hair, I slipped on my shoes and put on my jacket and bag. "I'm leaving, Jeff. Don't stay long," I say hastily and run out the door before he could respond. I run all the way to school. After a while, I can see the school's front gate. I take a sigh of relief as I could see it's still open. I run through and head to the office for a late slip. Once I get my slip, I head for the class I'm supposed to have at this time. I go in and see people who stare at me in awe, then total hatred and ignore me. I disregard it and take my seat, even though it bothered me like hell. I disregarded it and took my seat. Even though I'm given these looks almost every single day, this time it doesn't feel right. They look at me like that because I'm an outcast. It's something else. But this time, it doesn't feel right. They didn't look at me like that because I'm an outcast. It's something else, and I have a pretty good idea about what it is. I was sitting with Addie and Jonna in lunch. Jonna told me that the word got around fast. Almost everyone in the entire school knows about what happened to Ian. Even the fact that he'll be getting a transplant. But why is everyone angry at me? I asked. I'm not the one that did it. We know, Addie says sweetly, and everyone else knows too, but they're starting to think you're bad news, Ellie. I stare at her for a while and say, what do you mean? Jonna gives me a sympathetic look and says, everybody's saying that you're bad luck. You bring evil around. Not that it's true. We would never believe in that crap. But, I started, it's not like there's any other evidence that I'm bad luck. Ian was attacked by some maniac who just so happened to be at the outcast house. That's not enough for them to accuse me of things. Well, that didn't stop them, Addie says. And besides, they got a couple of reasons. I laugh and say, like what? Well, for one, Jonna speaks up, people think you're pretty weird. They're all just judgmental bastards. Well, for one, Jonna speaks up, people think you're weird, and they're all just judgmental bastards and whores. And two, Addie says, more news got out, and apparently you might be You might be in a secret satanic cult. I laugh for a few seconds and realize they're not bluffing. My mind immediately goes to the marks on my wrist, and the only two other people who know about it are Addie and the girls. One of them must have spilt it, and now everyone knows. I bring my arm up slightly and move the sleeve to reveal my marks. Jonna and Addie stared at them in shock. Jonna gulped and said, please tell me the last bit of what Addie said isn't true. I sighed. Sorry. I sighed and replied, no, it isn't true. Look, if it helps you, I don't know what they are either. All I know is that one night I was feeling weird. Something's happened, and before I knew it, these marks show up. I can't take them off. It's like my actual skin. If there were a way to take them off, I'm sure ripping off my flesh would do it. No matter what I try, it's a useless trying to No matter what I try, it's as useless as trying to staple water to a tree. We can figure something out, Jonna says, but what I want to know is how word of this got around. I'm sure you tried to hide it, but how'd it get out? Maddie and her friends, Addie said for me. I know because I was there when I saw it. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but it seemed personal for Ellie. Well, it sure isn't anymore. Well, it sure as hell isn't anymore, Jonna muttered. I cover my wrist and sigh. I'm sorry, you guys, I mumble. Maybe you shouldn't hang around me anymore. Elizabeth, Jonna says, you're a smart girl. Don't be stupid now. We won't leave you just to protect our reputations. Hell, I don't even think we had any in the first place. But we're always together no matter what. You're like a little sister to me, both you and Addie. You're my responsibility. We look after each other. If one of us is in a fight, then all of us start a war. That's how it is. We will never leave you behind, no matter who thinks it's wrong. We're staying with you through this, even if it ruins us. I stare at her in awe. She could always persuade me with words. She's just that good. I smile and say, thanks, you guys. I really appreciate your loyalty. They both give me warm smiles and lean over to hug me. I'm really glad to have friends like these two. Without them, I don't think I'd be sane, nor would I be alive either. The bell rung and I walked out of my last class. I saw Travis and smiled, but I thought that I shouldn't get my hopes up. I stop and look at him for a while. I know he's heard of the rumors. He probably thinks I'm bad luck. I bet he's already deleted my number from his phone. I was about to storm away when Travis grabbed my shoulder gently and said hello. Hi there, Elizabeth, he said warmly. I smile slightly and look away. He fidgeted and cleared his throat. Listen, he starts, about what's going on. Look, I understand, I snapped. You don't want to be around me. I get it. I'm bad luck and a Satanist. Just leave me alone, all right? You don't have to tell me you don't like me. People come and go, especially if they used to know me. But Elizabeth, I'm not mad, he says. I gave him a puzzled look and asked, why not? He smiles and says, because I can't hate you. Even if those rumors are true, I'll still always want to talk to you. You're a nice girl. I know you are. And nice girls shouldn't have to be left alone. I feel tears start to form and I sniffle. He's willing to stay after all that's been said about me. He still wants to keep in touch. He's even more weird than me. I giggle and say, thanks, that makes me feel a lot better. Yeah, I can tell people have been rough about this whole thing, he said. I nodded and he ruffled my hair. Don't worry, he said. If they mess with you, you tell me, all right? I won't be afraid to teach them a lesson or two. I nod my head and he runs off to go home. I guess I should too. I make my way home and decide to kill some time. I don't feel like going home just yet. People are working on my window and I don't feel very comfortable about that. I go to the park instead, hoping maybe that I can go to the abandoned lake area. I walk around the park and see more people than the last time, but it's not as much. I take a couple detours when I suddenly hear whining. I stop walking and listen. I hear somebody whining and the other people are hissing threats. Somebody's being hassled. Good thing I came out here. This area is secluded too. No one would have heard the commotion. I follow the talking and see a small area where these 3 guys are messing with the smaller looking one. I watch as one of them shoved him on the ground and called him. Oh, crap. Never heard that one before. Damn. I couldn't let him get hurt. Even though I have nothing to defend myself with, I went in anyways. I stepped out of the trees and said, Hey, stop hurting him or else. All 3 guys laughed. One of them spoke up and said, Or else what, little girl? You gonna call Daddy and get the old shotgun? No, but I'd really like one right now, I growled. They all laughed, and the first one said, Feisty one. Well, today's going to be fun, boys. Not only do we get a freak of nature pipsqueak here. He shoved down the smaller guy to the ground and smirked. But we get this little doll here, too. What should we do? The other one says. The first one chuckles and says, Grab her. I turned to run, but one of them caught my arm and put me in a chokehold. I struggled to get out of his grip, but he wouldn't budge. The other 2 looked at me, like they were examining me, and the first smiles. Why don't we have our fun, boys? I'm sure she won't mind a little screaming. They all laughed, and I screamed for help, but no one would respond. The smaller guy from before ran off. Too bad. I would have really liked his help right about now. The second guy gives me a distasteful grin and holds my face. She's a pretty one. Digging her eyes, and the rest of her, too. His gaze dropped down to my chest, and in return, I spit in his face. He growled at me and gave me a dirty look. He raised his hand to strike me, but the first guy stopped him. No, not just yet, buddy. We haven't got her stripped. He gave me a smile, and I glared at him. Hey, I heard one of the guys that was holding me. Why don't we give her a test run, to see if she's worth our energy? The second guy nods in approval, and the first chuckles. Yeah, that sounds good. They all laugh again, and the second guy pulls a rag from his pocket. He gags me, and I trash and kick. The first puts his hand on my waist and starts to tug off my pants. I scream, but all that comes out is muffled groans. I knew this is when I'll be totally scared for life. My life is just getting better and better, huh? Just as the first guy pulled down my pants and went for my underwear, I heard a loud metallic thud. I heard a loud metallic thud. Then another. Before I knew it, the two first guys were lying unconscious on the ground. The guy holding me choked me as tighter as he yelled for someone to come out. No one responded, and as he was getting paranoid, suddenly I heard the same metallic thud sound again, and I feel him stop holding me. I immediately put my pants back on and take the rag off me. I look up at the guy and shake my head. Poor perverted bastards. I grumbled and got my bag. I turned around and saw a figure standing in front of me. I scream and whack it with my bag. It doesn't attack or do anything, but whine and beg for me to stop. I did, and I looked closer. It's the same guy from before. There was a shovel next to him, so he was the guy that saved me. I knew he'd come around. I looked at his face, but I didn't exactly see his face. He was wearing a mask. It looked interesting, really, but it was a bit creepy. Sorry, I apologized. I didn't know it was you. It's okay, really, he said. He had a small, quiet voice. I knew he wasn't someone to pick fight. I gave him a smile and say, "Well, thank you for saving me back there." "Oh, don't thank me, miss. If anything, thank the landscaper. He had a shovel lying around," he said. I giggled and gave him a hand. He didn't hesitate to take it, but he does, and I help him up. We were about the same height, a few millimeters taller. "Hi," I started. "I'm Elizabeth, and you are?" He seemed to get uncomfortable, and he looked down. He mumbled. I chuckled and said, "Don't be shy. I won't judge or hurt you. Go on." He nodded and breathed in. He finally said, My name is Masky."